Hello and welcome to a budgeting video. This is Budgeting 101, especially if you're a student and it's your first time budgeting or being out on your own and you're kind of not really sure where to start with how to track your expenses and income. My name is Michaela McGregor and I'm currently in law school, so I started budgeting during my undergraduate years, and then now that I'm a law student, actually really truly out on my own, I've been doing it a lot more. So yeah, hopefully this will be helpful and you can kick off your 2025 with a plan to save each month and to make sure that you're not overspending each month, kind of keeping in mind how to best keep track and plan for the future with your finances. I'm going to go through this video kind of in 3 steps. There are 3 main steps to budgeting, and again, also this is Budgeting 101. It's kind of for students. It's designed for students, so this isn't going to be upper level budgeting that you might desire if you're a 40-year-old person who's deep in the throes of investing and planning out all these different taxes and bills and everything. This is more for students in 3 simple steps: tracking your finances first, building your actual budget, and then saving money. So prior to building any budget, you want to start off with tracking your finances. And the very first thing to do, obviously tracking your finances, is tracking your expenses. And there are 2 different types of expenses that you want to keep track of. First are the easy ones, and these are the fixed expenses. So these are going to be the same every single month. You can predict them. It's going to be your phone bill, your rent, your tuition bills, anything like that you know is coming and you know how much it's going to cost. Second, you have your mutable costs that you're going to have to make, your mutable payments, or variable you might call it as well. And these are going to be ones that are less predictable, or they might differ depending on how much you end up spending, whether that's going to be a birthday gift for someone, maybe it's a friend's trip that you go on annually each year, or even something like you've run out of contacts and you need to buy more contacts for your eyes randomly in September. Who knew that would be coming? Things like that you have to kind of budget in and plan for, even if you don't know exactly what you're going to be spending. So the best way to go about doing this when first starting off your budget is to kind of look back at the previous year and see how much you spent. And this can be done by looking at your bank statements and also your credit card statements if you have a credit card. Write down and see on average how much you're spending per month, and of course write down and go through all of your utilities, all of that, to see what your fixed expenses are, to determine both of your fixed expenses and then all of your variable expenses. And then after that, you'll want to go into tracking your income. And one thing to keep in mind is you always want to be very liberal when it comes to predicting your expenses and very conservative when it comes to predicting your income. This should be relatively simple if you just look at any pay stubs, wages, that kind of thing, to predict how much you're going to be making each month. You can also just check your bank account, see what you've been depositing every single month to see on average how much you're putting in. Keep in mind what you will receive as, in cash if you get cash gifts for your birthday or any holidays, and also any significant cash that you might have lying around your house, in your wallet, underneath your mattress, wherever you have loose bills or anything. And if you do have a significant amount of bills, it's worth taking that into the bank and depositing it into your bank account, so you just have all your money more in a secure location that you can keep track of. This is the easy first step. Now, the second step is going to be more difficult, and I'm going to go through this on my laptop screen, kind of show you what I do, and I'll open up a new template here and create a fake budget so that you can see step by step how I go about doing this. And actually creating a budget is so simple with what I do here, because I really don't do anything. I just use a template. It's so simple. It keeps track of it for you, and I would highly recommend using this template and not trying to make your own budgeting spreadsheet unless you're someone whose hobby is tooling around on Excel and playing with algorithms and stuff to try to track money. When you go into Google Drive, go to Google Sheets, go to the arrow from a template. It's going to be under the very first category of personal. You'll see there's actually 2 types. There's annual budget and monthly budget. You could definitely use the monthly budget as well. I've just always used the annual budget because it allows me to look ahead a little bit more, and it also still acts as a monthly budget in a way because you can see each month still. So at the bottom here, you'll see there are 3 different tabs. There's setup, expenses, and income. Start off by going to your setup. When you go to this page, you're going to see this little instruction of how to use this template. You can pretty much just go straight to right here where it says configure and put in your starting balance. So when I mentioned before to kind of calculate your total income, how much you had laying around the house and everything, deposit it into your bank account into one place, this is why, because if you have your money in one place, it's easier to keep track of and you know how much money you have. So go in and put in however much money you currently have in your bank account. Here's your net worth right here. So for our Jane Doe, we'll call this Jane Doe's budget. For Jane Doe's budget, we are going to say we have a starting balance. Let's put in $7,500. And then if we go into the expenses, this is going to look a little bit daunting at first because it's quite a big spreadsheet, but it's really, you only have to look at it month by month, or you can look at it as the whole year if you wish. You can go in, you can delete any categories that aren't relevant to you. So if you're not in school, you can delete the education part, or you can delete children right here if you don't have any kids, that kind of thing. What's great about this template, so as you go through, let's say Jane is spending $500 on her books in January because it's a new semester and she has to buy all of her books for school. If you see that I've added now this $500, when you go to the summary at the end, in total, because I've added some money for taxes and a couple of other things, and now the books, it says $750 in expenses right here under January, $0 in income because we haven't put in the income yet, but it basically has the ending balance. So it takes it out of our original $7,500 that we inputted into the configuration, takes out that $750, and then it charts it across this summary so you can see at the end of the year average how much you're going to have left. Of course, we haven't done the rest of the months yet, so that's why there's still $6,750 right here, but you can see everything all together. So right here by category, I'll revisit this summary page at the very end so we can go back over and see once we've put in our expenses. But anyway, continuing with the expenses, one thing I'd really recommend is at the beginning of the month, predicting what you're going to do and then editing it as you go. So that way you kind of have an idea as the month starts how much you should be spending and saving. And then as it goes, you can just make sure that your budget is accurately reflecting this. So let's say Jane estimates she's going to spend $100 on her groceries this month, and she's going to go out a couple of times to restaurants because she has a couple of friends' birthdays, so she's going to put in $85 for restaurants. And then personal supplies, $25. She doesn't need to buy any clothing, so we'll put in $0 right there. Jane, maybe she goes to her parents' house to do her laundry every single week, so she has $0 in laundry amounts. She gets her hair dyed every month and spends, I have no idea how much that costs, $50 on that. She has $0 subscriptions because she doesn't watch any television, let's say. Go down to gifts. Again, a couple of friends' birthdays, maybe she'll spend $50. I'm not going to go through the rest of this so that you don't have to sit through this, but I'm just going to put in some more amounts right here, and you actually don't have to put in $0 for the ones you're not spending any money on. You can just leave it blank and that counts as $0. So when I go back through now, $48 per month on her internet. Because this is a fixed expense, you can also just take this little arrow and then drag it across for all 12 months, and then it estimates it for all 12 months. And then that way you can just, it makes it a little bit easier when you go in at the beginning of each month, later throughout the year. And then same thing with all the rest of the utilities right here, gas, water, all of that. You can just expand it because it's fixed to the rest of the year. And then we put in the income. Let's say that Jane has a part-time job and that she makes $650 per month, doesn't make any in tips, but then maybe she also has a side hustle where she sells something on Etsy. So in the other category, maybe she makes $245 off of this right here on Etsy. So she's making $895 in January. And then finally, when you go back to the summary, you can really see here how much is being spent in each category. The ending balance is $68.97. The important thing is the net savings right here. So we can see that Jane is going down $603. She has way more expenses than her income. She probably has to take out some loans right now while she's in school. But yeah, it's really nice to be able to see this number right here and to then plan, let's assume that the rest of the year she's going to be a net loss of $600, give or take 100. It's just really easy to estimate the rest of the year at this point. But of course, again, you'll still want to go through month by month and make sure that it's accurately reflecting everything that you're spending. When you're out, you can keep track on your notes app on your phone. And then at the end of the day or at the end of each week, I'd recommend going through and putting in how much did you spend on groceries, how much did you spend, like really just to every single dollar until you get the hang of this and you feel comfortable. Put it in exactly what you're spending. At the end of the month, also adjust what you didn't need to spend, because like I said, you'll want to be liberal with your expenses and then conservative with your income. So if you have additional money at the end of the month that you didn't end up spending, add some of that maybe to an emergency savings fund and then invest some of it as well. That's some of the best things that you can do for yourself with that extra money that you're able to retain each month. That gives you wiggle room and you're not needlessly spending every single cent that you allotted to yourself at the beginning of the month. And then finally, step 3, just ways to save money. I've talked about this in some of my other videos before, just kind of the key things that you should be doing to save money as you make this budget and you try to save money throughout 2025. First of all, at this stage, if you're a student watching this, it's less about how much you should be saving and how much you can save. So you've probably heard a lot of those things before about, save 30% or spend 50%. I don't even know what the pie chart is, but it's like this percentage system of how much you should be saving and how much you should be spending. If you are like most normal students, it's not really like there's a choice, right? You're just kind of saving and pinching every penny as much as you can because there's not much to save. So I'd recommend just not worrying about those pie charts and everything and just focus more on how much can you save. Make lifestyle changes if you can. Going out for coffee, maybe instead, invest in a coffee maker, which could, you could easily save more money in the long term if you drink coffee every day, if you have a coffee maker at home rather than going out and buying an iced coffee or something. Getting books from the library instead of going to the bookstore, trying to pack a lunch every single day instead of buying a lunch. When it comes time to get someone a gift for their birthday or a holiday, making them a gift, making them a card rather than buying something. These little lifestyle changes really do add up, even if it feels small and insignificant in the moment. When you go and you make your budget and you see how it's reflected and you see the actual difference in dollars each month as you make these lifestyle changes, it can be very rewarding because you can actually see those implementations having an effect on your monthly budget. A couple of things I do as well, buy no-name brand. One thing I do, I haven't even gotten to redeem anything yet, but I downloaded this app Fetch, and this sounds sponsored, I promise you it's not, but I downloaded this app called Fetch, and you take a picture of your receipt and then it gives you points, not money, but it gives you points whenever you upload a receipt, and eventually in theory I should be able to redeem it for a gift card or something. I haven't gotten to that stage yet, but that's something you can do. And then also get apps for things that you spend a lot on, reward points. So if you are always buying Amtrak train rides, try to redeem those points, get an account so that you can keep track of all of your expenses through that, and it'll give you points every time that you buy a train ticket through Amtrak. Similarly, I have a app for Star Market, which is where I buy my groceries, so that every time I go, I'm getting points and I can save money by having the app, putting in my phone number, that kind of thing. Using just little methods like this all around can help save you money. I already said to invest. This is really obvious advice. Don't max out your credit card. Get a credit card if you don't have one, because that way you can get and build your credit score and then never, ever, ever max it out. And then also one other thing that I would recommend with saving money is I turn on auto pay for all of my bills that I have to pay, but I never rely on auto pay. And the reason for this is because companies can jack up your prices without telling you. I went into my Wi-Fi bill this month and it was $3 higher. They said they sent me an email. I did not see an email in my inbox. Who knows, maybe I had accidentally deleted it. But anyway, because I went in and I don't rely on the automatic, I was able to see that it is going to be $3 more from now on, which I'm not happy about, by the way. And I can put that into my budget, and now I know it's going to be $3 extra per month. But yes, you can plan for that, and also if there's ever an issue with your credit card or something, you can keep track of that. And then also another thing I forgot to say, every single month, I try to do everything at once in the month. I make my budget and I pay my utilities, I pay my rent, all of that at the same time, because it ensures that I don't forget anything. If you space it out throughout the month, it just gets confusing and complicated. And at that time, something I would also recommend doing is checking your bank account and your checkings to ensure that you have enough money, that when it comes time for your bills to be paid, that there's enough in your checking to cover all of that, transfer from your savings into your checking, that kind of thing. If you just do this regularly each month, you'll be in a lot better shape to not only plan for the future, but to also not be surprised by any expenses that you might have to pay each month. I hope that this is helpful, and I know it's a bit fast-paced. I hope that it's kind of a good tutorial to start you off with budgeting and to get a sense of how to budget, at least using the template, and also I hope that it was helpful with the money saving tips. Thank you so much for watching, and have a happy new year, and also have a wonderful rest of your week.